Hello there! What if your actions were put on a screen for everyone to see? Would they match the promises you made? Leadership goes beyond mere decisions and delegation. That's why today we're going to learn how weaving trust, crafting meaningful narratives, and understanding the difference between criticism and critique can decipher the essence of effective communication, especially for leaders. But before we get into it, make sure you grant your lifetime access to our free workbook, Mindset Mastery, 7 Productivity Keys for High-Performing Leaders. This is your chance to make the mindset shift you need to master communication using the 7 mindset keys of the 1% top-performing leaders. The link is in the description. Let's dive in. In the complex role of leadership, communication not only determines how people understand concepts and ideas, but also the steps they take. Let's venture through the foundations of effective communication and explore the impacts of trust and credibility as the bedrock of relationships, the power of storytelling to craft compelling messages, and the difference between critique and criticism for effective feedback. Get ready to dive into insights from renowned authors pointed out by real-life examples. So the first of 3 communication tips for effective leadership is to establish trust and credibility as your communication foundation. In the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey says, "Trust is the glue of life. It's the most essential ingredient in effective communication. It's the foundational principle that holds all relationships." Leadership isn't merely about delegation or decision making. It's about inspiring, influencing, and motivating. And what is the core of these interactions? Trust and credibility. Without these, even the most eloquent words or grand visions can fall flat. Trust serves as the bedrock upon which all successful relationships are built. And how do you achieve that level of trust? In a world saturated with superficial interactions, being genuine stands out. Being yourself with all your strengths and vulnerabilities, it's a strength in itself. What does that mean exactly? It's about opening channels of honest communication, acknowledging mistakes, and constantly striving for better. You do that by aligning your words with your actions, ensuring that promises are not just made but also kept. If I could put in one word, that would be authenticity. Authentic leaders, by being true to themselves, create an environment where trust and credibility flourish. The second of 7 communication tips for effective leadership is to craft compelling messages in storytelling. In her book, Wired for Story, Lisa Cron affirms that we think in story. It's hardwired in our brain. Write this down. Storytelling is about contextualizing information, making it relatable, memorable, and impactful. The power of storytelling lies in its ability to convey complex ideas in an engaging way. It evokes emotions and provides meaning. It's the difference between listing out bullet points and weaving a narrative about how and why a given topic matters. How can you craft compelling narratives? The first thing you have to do is to understand your audience. The goal is to communicate with different people in different ways. We're talking about their aspirations, challenges, and values. The second thing to craft compelling narratives is to use relatable analogies. Complex ideas can be simplified using familiar situations or analogies. Of course, we're talking about being familiar to your audience, not you. The last thing I would say about crafting compelling narratives is to evoke emotions. Here's what I mean by that. The last impression is the lasting impression. Stories that stir emotions create lasting impressions. You want to spend your time crafting compelling narratives that will be remembered for people to take decisive action. That's the whole point. People will forget what they listen, but they won't forget how they felt. The last of the 3 communication tips for effective leadership is to differentiate criticism from critique for effective feedback. Feedback, as its heart, should facilitate growth. However, the waters get muddied when leaders confuse criticism with critique. Criticism is when you focus on what's wrong or what didn't work. Critique is when you focus on offering guidance for improvement. Do you want to try to spot the difference? I'll give you 2 examples, and you tell me which feedback is based on critique or criticism. Example 1, your report was not up to the mark. I expected better. Example 2, I felt the report could have benefit from some more data analysis. Maybe next time we can discuss the draft together before finalizing it. If it sounds obvious to you that example 1 is based on criticism and example 2 is based on critique, congratulations. The obvious is only obvious to the trained eye. That's why for you and not everybody, it seems obvious that example 2 is the one to go. One thing to observe here is that both examples address the same issue. Nothing is left under the carpet in example 2, but the directions is the opposite of what example 1 offers. In the book Thanks for the Feedback, Douglas Stone and Shayla Hinn explores the art and science of feedback. They emphasize that feedback can be a gift, but its delivery determines its reception. They say, in the realm of feedback, the receiver is in charge. Only the receiver decides what to let in, how to make sense of it, and whether or not to change. Think this way. When you speak, everything you hear is what you already know, but when you listen, you might always learn something new. Active listening can entirely change the perspective of a given situation and the direction of an intended feedback. Be open, honest, and based on critique. And there you have it, 3 communication tips for effective leadership. Remember that effective communication is not just about speaking or writing, but it's a symphony of trust, storytelling, and feedback. It's not about perfection, it's about connection. Make sure you grant your lifetime access to our free Mindset Mastery workbook to take decisive steps toward a new communication paradigm, and subscribe to don't lose any new upcoming content about growth, branding, and marketing. Until then, become your brand.